Hey everyone, and welcome to my first podcast on my series, Your Life Matters. And this is the first episode. I decided to name this episode, You Can't Heal What You Don't Reveal. And this episode, I do want to put a trigger warning. I will be talking about suicidal thoughts and depression. So if you feel like you can't listen to this episode, I completely understand. If you feel like it might be too triggering, I definitely understand, but I really do hope you choose to listen. And if you would like to listen, then please continue. So this episode, the title I got from a quote from one of my favorite recording artists, August Alsina. August Alsina has been very open about his healing journey and what he's been through. And if you have followed his career like from the way beginning, you will know exactly what he has been through. And to see him being able to not just survive, but to keep going and to have this perseverance of knowing that his life matters. I can definitely say his healing journey is very inspiring. I'm pretty sure a lot of people did not think he would make it, and to see him still standing, it's a beautiful thing to witness. Definitely going to talk about healing in this episode, ways to heal, what suffering in silence looks like, and examples of it. I will say from this quote, I feel like it can mean a lot of things. I definitely feel like when it comes to healing, you have to want to get better. Healing is not easy. It's exhausting, honestly. It is a battle every day. It's hard. It's hard work, and it's not for the weak at all. I also feel like this quote symbolizes not suffering in silence. I think suffering in silence is the number one crisis right now, besides depression. I feel like right now, especially if you're in your 30s or a little older, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about 30s, but everything just comes to light. You end up realizing why you act the way that you do. You get triggered without knowing that you're being triggered. You realize childhood trauma without realizing it. It can happen out the blue, or you get flashbacks, or things will happen and you just are constantly questioning why it's happening. And it feels like that's when your most hidden trauma is like revealed. If you're like me, if you grew up in a household where your feelings were dismissed and you weren't allowed to show any emotion, you were pretty much treated like your feelings didn't matter. This is why people suffer in silence. That's where it begins. I very strongly feel that your upbringing defines who you are, and it plays a major role in how you act as an adult, how you treat certain situations, how you treat people, how you handle certain situations. And I think the number one hardest trauma to break is generational trauma. If you have old school parents, their parents, raised them to not be emotional, raised them to not be sympathetic, raised them to not deal with feelings. And then that's what our parents learn. And then that gets brought down on to us. So now we're in a world where everybody's trying to heal. It's crazy to see how much mental health has affected so many people. I don't think it was this severe, honestly, before social media. I feel like social media has played such a big role. And I just need social media to go to hell just for a year. Just for a year so that people can snap back, not just to reality, but to themselves. Now, another thing I do not like about today's world is this world, I feel like, is filled with so many mean and unsympathetic people. And that needs to change. So back to suffering in silence. I think the happiest people are the ones that battle the most silently, or have been in situations where they really legit had to fight through it by themselves. The worst part about suffering in silence is that we feel like no one understands us, or we can't find people that will relate to what we're going through. When someone commits suicide, everybody want to be all like, oh, I wish she spoke up. Oh, I wish he spoke up. Oh, I didn't know he was going through anything, or anything like that. And I can say that's a load of crap. I always feel like there's some type of sign that shows that someone is suffering in silence. When it comes to wanting to die, until you've been in so much pain to the point where you want to die, you really can't say anything. You can't judge the situation. You can't say anything. You can't put your 2 cents. None of it. When it comes to suicide, I will be honest. Again, unless you've been through like actual trauma or going through something, you're never going to understand why someone would choose to take their own life. Many people will say, oh, it's not worth it, and you have so much to live for and all this stuff. But it's like, the way the world is right now, it's hard to have hope, and it's hard to even view life as positive and happy. Now, I do feel there's a difference between not wanting to exist versus actually not wanting to be in this world or alive. There is definitely a difference. And this goes into having suicidal thoughts. Again, when you are suffering in silence, or you're just dealing with certain traumas or battling depression, one thought that, a lot of people will have is that they feel like the world will be a better place without them. I definitely felt like that at one point. I definitely felt, if I died tomorrow, ain't nobody gonna care. I definitely had those moments. And the strength it takes to pull yourself out of that mindset, I can't even explain it. Unfortunately, there's people who feel like they don't have anything worth living for, and there has to be some type of sympathy for that. Because the issue that we have in this world today is no one's sympathetic. Well, I don't want to say no one, but a lot of people are not sympathetic. Now, granted, there are people who aren't going through anything. Like, they don't deal with certain stress that other people may deal with. They don't have certain problems that other people have. They don't have traumas that they have to heal from. And if you are one of those people, kudos to you. But I feel like you're the last people that have a right to say anything about what someone else is going through. So when it comes to trying to get better and wanting to get better, I definitely strongly suggest finding a community that you can confide in. Depending on the trauma that you're dealing with or battling, there are support groups. There are organizations And even if it's with like a therapist, I'm not saying talk about it in a group of with a group of people. Now, I'm not saying tell the whole world or tell a bunch of people. If you're not comfortable with that, try to find a therapist. If you're not willing to talk to people, then you have to do the work yourself. You have to do some deep soul searching and come to terms with what you're battling and come up with the choice on whether or not you want to heal and get better. So for me, as an adoptee, I can honestly say finding the adoptee community has really legit helped me, because I have met so many wonderful adoptees going on the same journey as me, and they have provided such a safe space. I go to support group meetings. I attend adoptee events, and sometimes I socialize, sometimes I don't. When it comes to even being in a space where people can relate to you, sometimes it's still nerve-wracking and you're not ready to open up, which is fine. I don't want to say names, but I have several adoptee friends who have really legit helped me get to where I'm at right now, because when it comes to adoptee trauma, first off, let me say adoptees are the strongest people that I know, because we are fighting battles literally every day. And many of us did not ask for this type of trauma. So to have to navigate life every day with a different type of trauma and everything that comes with being adopted and knowing that it won't go away is hard. I did not want to cry talking about this, but we really legit are battling something every day. And even when we think we're getting better, something will trigger us. Every day is a reminder of being adopted, and it's been tough having to navigate. Every day I'm navigating it, and I have to constantly fight certain battles with my brain. And this goes back to what I said about suffering in silence. It is very crazy to me how much negative thoughts can impact you. That, I think, is the hardest thing to navigate, is fighting negative thoughts. Constantly having to tell your brain to switch your mindset from negative thoughts to positive thoughts. When I say that is probably the number one challenge in getting better, it is definitely one of the top challenges. Another thing I really want to share is that when it comes to healing, it is a journey. I had to really tell myself, every day you're going to be trying to heal from something, and there's no time frame. I really had to tell myself this, that it is going to be a battle for the rest of your life. And I feel like society and social media has put it out there that you have to be healed in a certain time frame in order for good things to happen to you. And if you're not healed, you attract certain things. And, if you're not healed, you're not lovable. I want everyone who is on a healing journey to please repeatedly say to yourself, healing takes time, and that is okay. I can say for the past few months, I've been doing everything in my power to control my mind and control my thoughts, and speaking more positive about myself and speaking more positive about things happening. I'll be honest, I was not a believer in affirmations. I was not a believer in thinking positive. I can openly admit that. Like, I just was like, I'm not going to constantly say something positive every day about myself. Like, for what? Like, what is that going to do? But to be 100% honest, I pushed myself to do it. And I have honestly seen a major difference in things happening around me and my confidence, especially. Telling myself more that I can do it and having a more positive outlook on projects and stuff that I want to do and having more positive outlook on life. Now, I will say when you do get triggered, one thing that is good is to get up and do something, whether it's painting, whether it's going outside just for a walk or start working out. The minute you feel a negative thought come into your head, you really have to stop yourself and be like, no, we're not going to think that. This is what we're going to think. I can't do it is definitely something I would always say to myself. And the minute I started trying to be more positive and saying, yes, I can do it, that actually really changed my confidence. And I've noticed a major, major difference. And this is why I'm saying it really does start with you. It is not easy, but you can definitely get there. You can definitely get to a better and a happier place. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I thank you guys for letting me be vulnerable. And most of all, thank you for listening and wanting to listen. And most of all, thank you guys so much for your support. And I will see you guys in the next episode.